Hi everyone, I'm Carol Keller, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Illinois in the United States, and today I have for you an Avid or Stepped Up card using the Lighthouse Point bundle. And this card I designed as part of an online retreat that I was involved with a group of demonstrators from around the world. So I hope you like the card. Check out my other videos too with a simple card and then kind of a card that's in the middle, not quite simple and not quite completely stepped up. So look for those videos as well. But today is the Avid card. Let's get started. Here is the card that I've designed for today. So as you can see, if you saw my first video with the simple stamping card using this stamp set, you can see this is a lot more stepped up. I'm going to put that to the side so we can get started. I started with a basic white card base. And my first layer is the same size as the card front. So I cut a piece of Pacific Point. Again, same size as the card front, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches or 10.5 by 14.9 centimeters. And we're gonna put this on right away with some multi-purpose liquid glue. And then we're gonna actually start and do our stamping on the inside first. And the reason we're going to do that is we are going to have some layers once we assemble everything. And if you're like me, sometimes I forget the inside till the end, and I don't want to do that because we're going to stamp on this side and it needs to be flat so we can do that. So we have our sentiment for the inside, and I'm going to bring in Pacific Point for that one. And the sentiment is always here for you. Make sure we've got some good ink and straight. And then we're also going to do another lighthouse, but this one we're going to stamp. This one is die cut. We're going to stamp one on the inside. So I'm going to take that Pacific Point again and ink up the detail part of the lighthouse. You always want to do the darker color first. So we're going to put it here. Let's see. Yep, put it down. So we're committed. A little bit smeared, but I think we're okay because it's going to be covered. And we're going to let that dry for a second too. Darker colors sometimes take a little longer to dry. So we're going to do our label, our sentiment for the front. And for that, I've already die cut a piece of, or a label from the die set in Daffodil Delight. And we're going to stamp our front sentiment, sending you love and light. And we're going to stamp it in Pacific Point. Normally, I would say to stamp first and then die cut, but with the photopolymer you can do the opposite just like I did if you want to, because you can see right where you're stamping. And then we're done with the Pacific Point, not too much stamping for our card. Oh, and actually I'm going to do an envelope. So I'm going to bring that Pacific Point back in before we switch colors. We're going to do a lighthouse on the front of the envelope as well. We'll re-ink that. Make sure we've got the front left corner. And you want to do it a little bit from the bottom because the second stamp is you'll see it'll be more toward the bottom. So our Pacific Point is done. And we're going to switch to Balmy Blue. And we're going to use the other lighthouse stamp in our two-step stamp. So for this, you want to line up this part with that line like that. And then make sure that your stripes are lined up as well. So our envelope is done. I'm going to put that aside to dry, and then we'll finish the inside. And it will definitely cover up that little smear because it's pretty much the same color as that, I believe. Again, line it up. Oh yes, no one will be the wiser. There's usually a way to cover your mistake. And I'd say that's pretty good. We're gonna, again, put that aside. Fold it one more time. And then we're done with our stamping. So now I've die cut a bunch of pieces from the die set we have in Daffodil Delight. our little beam of light. We have die cut the second layer of the label, and that's in Pacific Point. So there are 2 sizes in the die set. And I've also die cut the top of the lighthouse in black, and you'll see at the end there's a separate die that just cuts that out. And then I cut it out again in Daffodil Delight, but actually not for this part, it's for the little windows, because I wanted the light to be shining in there as well. So we don't need this. I just wanted to show you where it came from. And for this is the little bridge. So this, I'm going to take my take your pick tool, and we're going to pop out the little pieces that we don't need. And now I believe we have all of the pieces of the lighthouse except the lighthouse itself. Let me grab those. We have the background color in Pacific Point. And then this is in Balmy Blue. And before I ran it through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, I put adhesive sheets on the back. There are also adhesive sheets on the back of this, and these. So that just makes it easier for placement. And then I also have a piece of vellum, and this comes from the Lovely Layers vellum pack. And I like this because my thought was, you know, a lighthouse is shining at night, so that's why I used Pacific Point for the background. And this kind of softened it, but it's still a darker look. And I was kind of thinking of these as stars. So that was my thought process in and my reasoning for using that. But we're not going to attach this yet. What we're going to do is attach the lighthouse to this, and the sentiment, so we know where to put adhesive on the back. So I'll show you what I mean about that in a minute. But we'll start by assembling the lighthouse. So we're just going to peel off that wonderful adhesive paper, adhesive sheet. Just one little bit here. And then I'm going to do my best to line this up. It's hard to do it without standing up. Maybe I will. Kind of line it up with the bottom and then feed it along the sides. And then actually that's right, I cut this off the top. So we're going to do that too before it's really adhered on there. It is sticking pretty well. Pull it off. So I cut this part off because it's going to be replaced. So right to where these points are, I just took my snips. We're going to cut that right off like that, because the black's going to sit on there. So that you don't need either. And we'll press this, make sure, we always want to burnish a little bit with our fingers to make sure that that adhesive sheet catches and adheres. So then we're going to take our top that we cut out in basic black, peel off that adhesive sheet, and then it sits right on the top. So, and you'll see I did, my cutting was a little bit crooked, so you know, I can see it now, but this will pretty much cover that up. So don't worry if it's a little bit off. So we'll put this one on next. Again, just peeling off that adhesive backing. We're going to take this off. There it goes, with my fingernail. Okay, so we're going to lay this right here so it kind of covers up that little boo-boo. Nobody will be the wiser. Oh, no, wait, before we do that, oops, getting ahead of myself. Trying to go too quickly. We'll leave that there. We need to put in our light on the inside. So again, these come from cutting out this top part in Daffodil Delight. Adhesive sheets on the back. And I will place each one in the little window. And they're all the same size, or at least I think they are, because it didn't seem to matter which one went in which. There we go. So now we've got our light shining inside the lighthouse, and now we put this on the front and cover up our little mistake. Again, you want to burnish. So now our lighthouse is ready to go on the vellum. and I put it so that it was near the top, and it does come over on the bottom a little bit. And that's fine because there's still room on the card. It's not going to stick out of the envelope or anything like that. So I'm going to grab my Stampin' Seal, and we're going to put some seal on the back here. And line it up about like that. And then the same thing, excuse me, the same thing for the label. We're going to put some adhesive on the back, some Stampin' Seal. And put our layers together. It's a little bit crooked. That's better. And before we put that on, we're going to color some ribbon. So for that, I'm going to bring in my dark Balmy Blue stamping blend and a little scrap of paper. And I'm going to bring in my beautiful Glittered Organdy ribbon because I really wanted some sparkle, again, kind of giving the idea of stars, but I decided I wanted to color it. You could use it like that, but since there's really no white, even this is kind of not so stark white because of being on the dark Pacific Point layer. So I decided I would color this with some Balmy Blue, my dark Balmy Blue blend, like I said. And you only have to do it on one side because it goes through. And I'm holding it pretty much at a 90-degree angle because I don't want to ruin the tip. So that is important. The nice thing is that it dries pretty quickly in just a few seconds. Let's see if that's long enough. Yeah, I think that's probably good. So I'm going to grab my snips again, and we'll cut at an angle. I'm going to take this out of the way. Oops, and bring it back in. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just fold it in half, and we're going to put a glue dot in the middle to hold each half together so that I can position it the way I would like. And then I'm going to put a glue dot on the front, and we're going to attach it then to the label. And first I was going to do it this way and have it on this side, but I felt like it took away from the lighthouse a little bit, so that's why I decided to put it on the other side. Angle that. And I also thought about bumping it up with dimensionals, but I really wanted the lighthouse to be more of the focal point, so I'm just going to put it on with some seal. And I make sure I go over that ribbon. I like to kind of start from the ribbon and move in the other direction so that I know there's adhesive on there, and that helps hold it also, helps hold it in place. Here, let's take this off of here again. And I do want this to overlap the card just a little bit. And then we can put the little beam of light on there again with the seal. And that's going to be right here. And so now we can adhere this to the card front, but we can hide our adhesive because it's going to go right on the back of the die cuts and the label. And we can even put a little bit right there. Whoops. And nothing will show. So that's the goal, is that the adhesive doesn't show. And if you wanted to, you could angle it, but I want that lighthouse to be straight, so I'm going to do it this way. And actually, it's a little bit crooked. Let's see if we can fix that. Maybe not. All right, we're going to live with that, I think. It's a tiny bit crooked. And now, last but not least, and actually I'm going to put some glue down there since I pulled it up. There's always a way to fix a mistake. I pulled it up, so now it's kind of popped up, and I don't want it like that. So I'm just going to put a little bit of my multi-purpose liquid glue on the back. Hold that in place. just a second or two. Yeah, that's better. Okay, now the last thing we're gonna do is just add some bling, and I wanted something that would mimic stars. That was my thinking, because again, it's a night scene. So I have my Jewels Basic Rhinestones, and these are an older set where we used to have the strips. I've had them for quite a while. So usually they come just in the 3 sizes now. So I'm going to grab my Take Your Pick tool again, and I just want the smallest ones. I want to see if there's adhesive on the back of this, I hope. Just want to add a little bit of sparkle, like I said, to mimic stars in the sky. So I'm going to just kind of scatter them around a little bit. Maybe down here. Because I don't want them to really be in any kind of line. I just want them scattered in the sky, just like you would see. Let's see, we'll put one here, I guess. Or maybe we'll move it down just a little bit. And then one more, because it'll be like odd numbers. So we'll put that one over here. So that just gives a little added sparkle and the idea of stars. So what do you think? We got sparkle in the ribbon and sparkle in the stars. And I am going to put a little more glue there to make sure that stays down on the card. But that is it. That is our Avid Stepped Up card. What do you think? I hope you like it. Leave me some love in the comments and let me know. All right, so there's our card. And let me show you what I used. The Lighthouse Point bundle. This is the stamp set. So we have the 2-step stamp for the lighthouse, really 3 steps with the little beam of light. And then some stamps that could be used like as clouds or something like that, or underneath the lighthouse. This and this are great underneath the lighthouse. And then of course our sentiments. So it's a great set, and the companion dies look like this. So you can cut out the solid piece like we did for the background, and then the layer, but then the smaller stamp that we stamped inside is cut out with this. So that cuts out this. And then there's a decorative piece, and here's the top of the lighthouse by itself, like I said earlier. And then our labels, and this cuts out the beam of light, and this is used as the bottom of the lighthouse. So it goes this way so that you could make it 2 different colors that way as well. And then here's what we used for this piece right here. This cuts out, I believe, this. So lots to love in the set. And again, thanks so much for joining us today for our online retreat. Thanks again for joining me, and I will see you again soon. Take care. Happy stamping.